The Dallas Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4, but the pressure is on for a bounce back in the Bayou as we welcome you in to Cowboys Pregame Live. It's the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints, Week 13 of the NFL season. Happy Thursday night, everybody. Here from the Star in Frisco in the Globe Life Studios, alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We will be joined by Nate Newton coming up here in just a little bit. But guys, it's the Cowboys, it's the Saints, it's a regional matchup. These teams do not like each other, especially when there's a win on the line, and neither one of those teams did that a whole lot in the month of November. How big of a game is this to come out of NOLA with no loss, Barry Church?
I'm telling you right now, this is a huge game for the Dallas Cowboys. The last 4 games, this team is 1-3. And 2 of those losses, the offense looked downright terrible. And then last week against a struggling Las Vegas Raiders offense, that defense gave up over 500 total yards of offense to that Las Vegas Raiders team. Kyle, I don't know about you. Isaiah, I don't know about you, but to me, they got to take advantage of the Saints team tonight.
Dog, all right, they got to take advantage of the Saints team because the Saints team is struggling as well. We're 1-3. Them boys is 0-4 over the last 4 games. So both teams are struggling. It's really going to determine, whoever comes out of this game with a victory is really going to determine who wants this the most, because both of these guys have to get back on track, and it needs to be Dallas Cowboys, not them Saints.
Yeah. The Cowboys have not won in New Orleans dating all the way back to 2013. So it's been almost a full decade since the Cowboys have won down in the Bayou, and they'll have to do so today without Mike McCarthy and a couple of others as the COVID list comes out in the middle of the week. And the Cowboys, it's not necessarily breaking news by this point, but they are without head coach Mike McCarthy. Also a couple of players on that list as well. Terrence Steele, who was originally thought to be the starting right tackle. Nahshon Wright, the rookie, in that category as well, as well as some of the offensive coaches and strength and conditioning staff. So, Barry, I ask you the question, how much will missing these pieces, coaches, players, and otherwise affect tonight's game for the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, I'm talking about coaching, for example. I think it hurt a little bit. I think it'll hurt a little bit, but I think they're set up perfectly to go ahead and handle that business that way because, you know, you got a guy in Dan Quinn who has head coaching experience, so I think it was a smart decision to boost him up to the interim head coach. And then you slide a guy like Joe Witt into that defensive coordinator position who's already had experience doing that when, you know, Dan Quinn missed COVID in the preseason. So they slide him in there. You got Kellen Moore handling the offensive duties out there. To me, the only question with these coaches is can the 3 of them, can the collective 3 of them motivate this team, get this team ready to play in tonight's game? And to me, I think the answer is yes.
I'm more worried about Harold Nash and the get-back coach. Who's going to get the coaches back from the sideline? No, I think you're absolutely correct, Barry. These guys are set up perfectly. Dan Quinn's been to the Super Bowl. Coach McCarthy's been to the Super Bowl. Both of these guys have the leadership capabilities to make sure that they're on track, regardless of who's on that sideline. My question is going to be in terms of how's it going to affect the play calling going forward with the defensive-minded coach versus the offensive?
No, that's a great point, and I want to stick with that. With Dan Quinn being the interim head coach, you talk about the way that he did that in Atlanta. He called the plays defensively while also being the head coach. But this season, as the defensive coordinator, he's been up in the booth. So how much of an adjustment is that for Dan Quinn specifically?
I mean, for me, I've never played defense before, so I can't tell you in terms of how those guys are going to be able to communicate, but I do know that he has experience being down on the field, so I think he's going to be perfectly fine. He's a veteran. He's a veteran coach. He's been in the booth. He's been on the field. It doesn't matter. This guy has a photographic memory at this point, so as long as those guys are moving around, it's going to be like that old game where the thing starts shaking.
Oh, yeah.
He sees it and he can call it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this guy's experienced, like you said. He's been to the top of the tops. He knows how to experience a defense, and he knows how to control a team as being in that head coach. So, to me, with Joe Witt being that defensive coordinator, I expect an aggressive game plan, especially with Taysom Hill at the quarterback. So, to me, this team has nothing to worry about. They should be in good hands with Dan Quinn.
Mike McCarthy is the 5th head coach in the last 2 seasons to miss a game by being placed into COVID protocols. Teams to this point without their head coach are 2-2, and one of those losses came from the Detroit Lions going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. So, I mean, take that with what you would. I mean, grain of salt with no Mike McCarthy. It is an adjustment, however, and the Cowboys are going to have to do that in a hostile environment out at the Caesars Superdome, where we head now with Rob Phillips on the sideline. Just kidding. We're going to have some technical difficulties. We're going to stay right here. But, gentlemen, we talk about that Superdome and being on the road. The Cowboys have not fared very well on the road, at least in recent weeks. Their last road game went against, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. How big of an adjustment is this without the coaching staff being what they have been with the COVID issues and now going on the road like this?
I think the biggest adjustment that this whole team is going to have to make with the coaching staff and the players as well is just communication, and especially on the offensive side of it. You know, defensively, when you go out there, you're gonna defensively go out there, and the crowd's gonna be quiet. It's not gonna be as loud out there because they're gonna try to get their offense ready. But offensively for the Cowboys, it's gonna be loud as heck out there in the Superdome. It's gonna be hard to hear. So I think the communication is gonna be the main thing that this Cowboys team is gonna have to focus on.
Communication is everything in this game of football, especially when you're on the road and especially when you're in New Orleans, because that stadium right there, we both played in there. It gets crazy. And there's a song called "Stand Up and Get Crunk" that they play. That's by Yin Yang Twins. And that is not the song you want to hear, because if that song's playing, then something positive has happened for the New Orleans Saints. Dallas Cowboys make sure that that place is mute. Run the ball, score some points, keep them off the field, win the ball game.
Now, I do believe we do have Rob Phillips out at the Superdome. And Rob, first off, now that we have you back, I have to ask you, are you a fan of the Yin Yang Twins, like Isaiah just talked about?
I absolutely am. Actually, I just heard that song, "Stand Up and Get Crunk," coming into the stadium, and Isaiah's right. Like, going back to 2009 when the Cowboys came in here and beat an undefeated Saints team, even during that game, when that song's played, something bad's happening to the visiting team, so you don't want to hear that too much.
So hopefully that's not the case, and the Cowboys can wait deep into this game to finally hear that song. But how much do you expect playing time-wise and snaps-wise for Amari Cooper as he makes his return from having been on the COVID reserve list the last 2 weeks?
Well, I think it remains to be seen, Kyle. I think odds are they're not going to just throw him 60 snaps in this game, but I think they'll see how it goes during the course of the game. You know, just kind of see how he's doing conditioning-wise. He's obviously doing a lot better to be active in this game after not practicing early in the week. So I think it's kind of a wait and see how it goes. Same with Demarcus Lawrence coming off IR. Now, look, he didn't have any training camp. They kept it easy for him coming back from an offseason injury in camp. And then he misses all these games coming in. So I think both guys have a chance to have an impact, but it may be kind of early on, snap count, see how they do going forward.
Hey, Rob, what's going on, man? I'm going to get straight to it. I'm going to get straight to the defensive side of the ball. With Tank coming back at that defensive end position, do we expect to see Parsons on the other side of him or back into his natural linebacker role at that second level?
That's a great question, Barry. I was just debating that on the way in. I think you might see both, honestly. Again, you know, Tank might be on a little bit of a snap count tonight. We'll see. I think that the beauty of Micah Parsons is, depending on the way the game is going, that's where you can play him, wherever he's needed. I think the way he's rushing the passer at certain times, it kind of reminds you of Von Miller. His first step off the edge, what he can do with that violence, that quickness. But at the same time, Taysom Hill starting for the Saints tonight at quarterback, there might be some value in having him off the ball in more of that spy role because of Hill's ability to scramble and run around. So I think you might see both tonight, and that's honestly what Dan Quinn has kind of said all along. He gives us so much versatility at both areas.
Mr. Rob P., good to see you out there, man, as always. I have a question for you in regards to the head coach for this evening. All right, it's not Mike McCarthy, it is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is the defensive coordinator, and obviously he's defensive minded. How do you foresee that playing a role in tonight's play calling, as the head coach always gets the final word?
Well, IRS, I think you guys said it early. He's done this in this stadium for 4 years. He came into New Orleans as the Falcons head coach, would call the defense for the most part on the sideline. I think there's value, and one reason why he's been in the booth this season is kind of that bird's eye view and kind of take the emotion out of it of the players on the sideline and be able to call defense that way. He's probably going to have a better feel for the emotion of the game, the players' reactions on the sideline, but I think his experience will kind of carry through. And again, you know, Joe Witt, you guys mentioned him earlier, he called the defense in preseason when Dan Quinn had COVID. So he's another guy up in the booth that Dan can rely on as well during the course of the football game.
Rob Phillips, thank you so much during your time on the sideline. We'll check back in with Rob next week. Back here with Nate Newton, here from the Star in Frisco, as we continue previewing the Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints. Now, he mentioned that there are a couple key pieces out. We mentioned Terrence Steele early on as well. He is unavailable. It will be La'el Collins at the right tackle spot. Based off of what you've seen the last 2 weeks from La'el Collins, kind of mixing in with Terrence Steele off that right side, how much confidence do you have on that side?
I have confidence in La'el Collins. I think he needs to get back to his technique. He's doing a lot of grabbing, a lot of catching. He needs to get more physical when he's dealing with his guys, especially he's going to be dealing with Cameron Jordan this week. So he need to be making sure he bend his knees, have a good punch, follow the dude, and run him around the horn. If he do that right there, he should get back to being who we know he knew who he was a few years ago.
What's been the biggest switch with La'el Collins? Because in the past, it's been the utmost confidence throughout the first couple weeks of the season. This year, or at least the ones that he's played in 6 games now. Why is that confidence not there for everybody watching 71?
Just when you come back like that, he's been off basically 2 years. And now he's coming back. A player tell you that he's confident, but until he sees himself successful on the film, he's going to struggle. And he's continuing to struggle because he's not relying on his techniques. Use that right hand punch, running them around. When they come inside, power set. Go back to your basic techniques. He's a mean, physical, honorary dude. Take that and put it into your techniques, and he should be okay.
It's kind of like what Randy Gregory used to say, play angry.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
that's what you got to do
Yes, sir.
against the New Orleans Saints. Collins this year, 13 pressures allowed, 1 sack allowed in just 300 snaps. That's over the course of the 6 games that he's played this year. Now, he's going to have a different offensive line coach up front as well, as Lenda Wells will be taking over. He's the tight ends coach, but filling in for Coach Philbin and company on the offensive line. He's also going to have some help from Ben McAdoo, who was a consultant for the Cowboys coaching staff, but has an offensive line background. How much of a difference is there for offensive linemen with a new coach on the sideline?
Let me say this right here, people, and listen to me. You talking about besides the head coach or maybe your offensive coordinator, this is the most important guy on the field is the offensive line coach because he's making adjustments as the game go on. When we see a different front or something that's new, we have to make quick adjustments. You have to come back and be able to talk to your coach. This is what I saw in this set and this front, so they don't make the same mistakes, especially if you give up a pressure or a sack. So this is the most important guy. Coach London Wells, you have your hands full. Players have to know exactly what they're talking about so they can explain to him and he can transition it up to the booth. And then it comes back down to the coach, which is a defensive-minded coach, so I know we're going to run the ball.
Going to run the ball a little bit
Yes.
more. Now, was there ever a point in your career where you had to deal with a different offensive line coach on the sideline, and how much of a change was that for an offensive lineman like yourself?
Oh, no. We never had that right there, Brian. I am so happy because I dealt with just basically 2 coaches. They were great coaches. Should be in the Hall of Fame, but you know what? I didn't deal with that situation to answer your question.
Thank goodness that you didn't have to go through
Right.
that, because the Cowboys are going to have to make some adjustments in that right tonight. They'll also have some inactives on the board as well. Here's a look at the 3 guys who will not be available for the Cowboys against the Saints. Will Grier at the quarterback position. Cedric Wilson, who had over 100 yards last week, but we also mentioned it early on with Rob Phillips. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper back in the fold, so Cedric Wilson out. Just another depth piece at the moment for the wide receiver core, even though he did play a bigger role last week, and then Alvin Kamara off the edge. Now, that brings me back to the wide receivers here. Amari Cooper back. He missed the last 2 games. 44 receptions, over 500 yards, 5 touchdowns for Amari. How much does having him back open up this offense?
He sets the table. If Amari can come out and just be a little bit of himself coming off of this situation, we're going to be all right, because now you have to set your mindset. Do you want to stop Zeke, or do you want to set your offense according to Amari? Because you don't know in 1st and 10 how we're going to do this. So they're going to have to set their defense. They're going to have to. Now, they have an all-pro corner out there, but no one can stop Amari. They make it slow him down, but no one can stop it. They still going to need some safety help.
Talking about Marshawn Lattimore there.
Yes.
That is a secondary that does give up quite a bit of passing yards, as they're in the mid-20s in terms of yards allowed this season. But do you expect Michael Gallup to have a bigger role because of Amari Cooper being back?
Definitely. You know, and CeeDee Lamb as well. These guys are the beneficiaries of this right here. And now that gives Dak all the confidence in the world. I mean, going with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th receivers is a nice thing, but the communication and the unity that these guys have is going to be outstanding tonight, and they need it.
Cowboys are certainly happy to have Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb back in the fold after they've been unavailable over the last couple of games, and that's going to be a huge key to getting a win in this one against the Saints. There are a couple other keys, though, the Cowboys have to take advantage of, and with more on that, we go across the studio to our guys Barry Church and Isaiah Stanback.
I appreciate that, Cal. And look, I'm here with the one and only Isaiah Stanback, and he's going to break down how does this Cowboys team turn this thing around. Isaiah, how do we do it?
Well, we got some work to do, BC,
Okay.
and it's a great opportunity to start today. Now, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do this thing. This is the Stanback 4 quarters on how to turn around the Cowboys season. Quarter number one, display a prominent running game. What does that mean? That means we've been hearing this thing all year long, you guys. We need to get this ground game going. We need to get the ball in Zeke's hand. This is going to be difficult tonight, however, because New Orleans is 3rd in the league against the rush. These guys do not allow anybody to run the ball against them. They have only allowed 3.4 yards per carry. Fun fact for you. Out of the 5 games the Dallas Cowboys have not had 100 yards rushing, our record, 1-4. So we need to figure that out and figure it out ASAP.
We need to figure it out because we know that when Cowboys are at their max power offensively, they have an extremely balanced attack, run and pass, so we need to get back to that run game. What about the pass game going into this game?
Yeah, the second quarter is get the ball out quick in the passing game. They have a dude over there at the defensive end. I think his name is Cameron Jordan. Yeah, he's kind of good. And we don't want to give him an opportunity to have his shot against Dak Prescott. So we need to get the ball out quick. That means anything under 10 yards, quick slant routes, quick in routes, under routes, all the things that are underneath that umbrella. And listen here, you guys, New Orleans Saints are last in the league when it comes against quick pass. There's teams are throwing for 81% against them. You know who else is throwing for 81% in the short game? Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott?
So they're 81%. We're 81%. Dak's going to have a heck of a job, but we need to get this ball out quick.
You're right. You got to get it out of your hands quick because Cam Jordan, he is a dog on that edge. I don't know if, Lael Collins wants any problems, so get it out of the hands quick. Yeah. But we've already talked about the offense. What does the defense need to do in this game against the Saints?
Well, they have a guy by the name of Taysom Hill. He just got a big boy contract, and trust me and believe he's going to try to show tonight exactly who he is and why he's worth that money. Now, if we can find a way to shut down this running game, we need to do it tonight against this guy and Mark Ingram. They're going to be in the backfield like old school Nebraska offense coming downhill, smash mouth football. He's a big quarterback. He can't throw the ball that well. So let's take away what he does best. Let's load up the box. And the reason being, if we can load up the box and take away their run against him and Ingram, they would force him to throw the pass, to throw the ball. Now, he only has 8 pass attempts this year. Only 8 pass attempts this year. In his entire career, he has 4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. Let's go ahead and turn up that interception ratio tonight.
I will say this, defense, bring your big boy pads because this guy is a load to bring down. If he starts running, it's going to create some problems. But look, last but not least, what does this defense need to do, Isaiah?
We need to force 2 turnovers. In games this year where we have at least 2 turnovers, the Dallas Cowboys are 6-2. Let's get back to our old ways of getting the ball, hitting them fast, get interceptions whenever he throws them up, and then that's going to end and result in a Cowboys victory.
To me, that's the ultimate formula. You said it, 6-2 when we're able to get turnovers. Defense, it's on you. Whether it's defensive line, secondary, intercepting passes, get the ball back to your offense, let them do what they do best, and that's score points. Look, that's it for Isaiah Stanback's 4 quarters of success. Back to you, Kyle.
Thanks, guys, so much. And another key for the Cowboys to get a win today against the Saints, well, it's win the battle in the trenches. The Cowboys' offensive line has struggled there over the last couple of weeks, maybe with the exception of Zach Martin, as big number 70 continues on another historic season for the Dallas Cowboys. And our very own Britt Johnson caught up with him earlier in the week.
What's up, y'all? Britt Johnson here with Zach Martin on 0 to 100 presented by Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Now what we're going to do is just walk the length of the field. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're going to have a good time.
Let's do it.
Ready to head out?
Yep.
All right. So first question is, have you ever had a job besides football? And if so, what was your first job?
I have had jobs other than football. My first job was in high school. I worked at my buddy's dad owned a big Morton salt warehouse, so I just carried around big salt bags all day during the summers.
That's where we got it. That's where our O-line guy came from.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, most embarrassing thing you have ever worn?
Worn? Oh man, embarrassing thing that I've ever worn. I'm pretty conservative when it comes to the old wardrobe. So, I think people would say, just like old shoes or old clothes that I just keep for long periods of time.
Old New Balances, like that. If you could be a superhero, who would you be?
I'm a Batman guy.
That's the same thing Zeke said too.
I've always been a Batman guy.
Yeah. Batman's the best, for sure. Go-to hype song before a game.
I like kind of calming music for the game. I'm not like a big like headbanger type thing, so I usually listen to like, I love like Luke Combs. I just kind of like to chill out before games.
I never would have guessed that. All right, what does your ideal day off look like?
My ideal day off is, Tuesdays I get to take my son to school in the morning and then just kind of relax at home with the fam.
Okay, speaking of school, what was your best subject in school?
I was a math guy.
Me too.
Yeah, I like math.
All right, what's worse to do, the laundry or the dishes?
I do more dishes than I do laundry, so I'm gonna say laundry.
Laundry?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you prefer new clothes or a new gadget? Because I know your birthday's coming up.
Yep, next week, thank you. New gadget.
New gadget?
Yeah.
Favorite holiday movie?
Ooh, favorite holiday movie? I mean, Christmas Vacation, can't go wrong with that.
Good one, good one. All right, and we have a question from a fan here if you want to take a look at this.
Hey, what's going on, Cowboy Nation? This is Justin Johnson from Mount Pleasant, Texas. My question for Zach Martin is, how did you feel when Jerry Jones gave you that phone call letting you know that the Dallas Cowboys drafted you as their first round draft pick?
It was pretty cool because I had, you go into the draft, you don't really know where you're going to go, but you have an idea of a few teams that like you and they've been talking to you the whole time, and Dallas really wasn't one of those teams. So, and I didn't grow up a huge Cowboys fan, but I knew about all the tradition and all that. So when I got the call, I was extremely excited, and I really think some of my success that I've had is I was drafted to this place and everything that comes with it.
Winners are created here, right?
Yep.
All right, well, thank you so much. Our deserving fans love to hear from you. I'm Britt Johnson, Zach Martin. Thanks for tuning in to 0 to 100, presented by Dr. Pepper, Zero Sugar. Come on, I'll race you back.
Awesome stuff from our friends over at Dr. Pepper and Britt Johnson as well. Zach Martin holds the second highest Pro Football Focus offensive grade this season, and he's going to go up against these Saint pass rushers today. Cam Jordan, Demario Davis. I mean, these are two guys that will get into the backfield throughout a defense that's pretty depleted on all three levels. As we welcome you back in to the Star alongside Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. And guys, when you take a look at this defense, I mean, this is a front seven that allows just 3.4 yards per carry. That's the lowest among any defense in the NFL. Can this offensive line find a little bit of success going up against that front seven?
Well, I'll give you my thoughts. I know Nate Newton over here, he's an expert in the offensive line, but I'm going to give my thoughts out there. I think we should be able to handle this offense or this defensive line pretty well out there. I think we match up well. The Saints have a big loss in Davenport on the edge. He's gone. This guy's a beast on the edge, so we don't have to worry about that. But they still have Cam Jordan, and that guy is a dog along the defensive line. So if this offensive line, if they can communicate well and protect as a unit, I think they'll be able to handle business against this Saints D-line.
You're 100% right. If they come out, man, and control Cam Jordan, because he's their main threat tonight as a pass rusher. So if they can come out and control him, they should be okay. But that Davis dude, man, I wouldn't want to be in a booth with this dude. He looked like he's coming downhill to hurt some folks. He can not only come up and get sacks, but he can stop people for tackle for losses. So this guy can play. So they will play big, and Cam Jordan shows up at the biggest of times, and this is a big game for both teams tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned it. No Marcus Davenport, the UTSA product, unavailable tonight, but you still have Jordan. You still have Davis. You still have Granderson. They have rotational pieces that are going to keep fresh legs going up against this offensive line. Nate, when you look at the offensive line, specifically on the interior, do you feel better about now Connor McGovern that he's had a couple of games at that left guard spot?
Definitely. I feel good because Coach Philman put him there. They say he earned the right. He's not had any major penalties up until this point. So just keep playing physical, keep growing, keep getting experience. We got Tyron out there next to you, making you feel comfortable, so things should be okay.
That's the first time we've said Tyron Smith's name today because, well, he's available for the second straight game, and that's a huge key to winning for the Dallas Cowboys moving into this one. But how much confidence does having those guys back on the offensive line, those guys in the skills positions like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, give Jerry Jones the fact that the Cowboys are going into New Orleans? Here's what Jerry had to say on that confidence level earlier in the week.
We think that with the addition of Cooper coming back and certainly having CD back, that that's going to give us more chances, more opportunities down the field. It should be that way, and in doing so, that'll help your running game out. In addition to that, we've got Tyron Smith back for his second game since his extended layoff, and that's gonna help us out a lot. We've switched some guys position-wise in the offensive line there over the last month. They're continued getting used to that, working with each other. That's one of the most coordinated areas there is in your offensive line, helping each other adjust with your blocks, just literally getting used to joining the blocks together. Double teams is the best way to describe it. So I think overall, just from the standpoint of working together, that we've got a better chance to play offense. Now, New Orleans, Sean Payton are going to have a lot to say about how well we do, but I know this. I think we'll go in there with our ears pinned back. I think we'll go in there, everybody recognizing how much this game means, and play well offensively.
And what about Zeke? The latest on him?
Yeah, he's practicing well, and we think he'll be ready to go. And no reason. I understand you're asking, but the facts are that we expect him to have a serious load against New Orleans.
It has been a rough couple of weeks for the run game for Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. There are a lot of words and a lot of weeks on that graphic right there. Let me just say it and sum it up this way. It has not been pretty for Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys trying to get the run game going, and it really capped off last week against the Las Vegas Raiders on Thanksgiving. 9 carries, just 25 yards, and they're still one of 3 teams in the NFL with 2 tailbacks over 500 yards apiece, along with the Broncos and the Packers. So Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott have had success throughout the year. But Isaiah, I ask you, how do you get Zeke back going, especially when he's been dealing with an ankle injury? Do you even think about resting him or limiting his reps going into this one?
You know what? If he's suited up, then he needs to play. You know, and I am not the advocate in terms of somebody trying to play injured whenever you have somebody that can fulfill his role right now. But they've made the decision. He's suited up tonight. He's going to be playing. So now it's rest on the shoulders of Kellen Moore. It is his job to ensure that this offense has an opportunity to get this ground game going. You already mentioned it, okay? Zeke, for the last 11 games that he's played, they've kept him under 70 yards rushing. All right, 7 of the last 11 games he's had less than 70 yards. When these guys run for 100 yards, when Zeke runs for 100 yards, they're 26-4.
Wow.
So Kellen Moore, figure out a way to get this ground game going. I don't care if these guys are third in the league against the rush. Figure it out.
I'm with you 100%. You know, if you suit up, you play. And this is the thing about it. Zeke is our jab. You know, he jab. And all of a sudden we hit you with an overhand right, and that's Amari Cooper. That's CeeDee Lamb. That's those other guys at the receiver position. We need for this guy to be up around 113, 120 yards. And we need for it to be within 20 carries, 22 carries. And then we bring in Tony Pollard and let him hit him with speed, man. But we have to have the run game average up around 30 attempts between these two guys. We have to have this to win the game.
You mentioned Tony Pollard, and going into the week, there was conversation that, hey, because of Tony Pollard and as well as he's played over the last few weeks, maybe you do take some off of the plate of Ezekiel Elliott. Does it make you feel better, the fact that, 1, you have a guy like Pollard that can fill that role, and 2, the fact that there was really no worries, it was full participation all the way through the week of practice, though it be a short week for Elliott in the backfield?
You know, it's one thing to have resources, it's another thing to utilize your resources. So the fact that Pollard's on the team, that's all fine and dandy, but if we can't get back to how we were within the first 5 games of the season where we had a nice 1-2 punch and it was a clear game plan for both of these guys, then we're going to be in a world of trouble. Kellen Moore, put on your hat.
It's all about positioning yourself right about now. You're 7-4. You don't want to come out of this thing 7-5. You need to be 8-4. You need to tell the world that we're back on track, and we're going to do it with the run game. When the Cowboys have been successful over the years, we have always had a confident run game.
Makes it sound like this is a must-win for the Cowboys, Nate Newton. We're going to answer that question coming up later in the show as well. Just a little teaser for all of you back at home. But New Orleans does things exceptionally well, and the Cowboys are going to have to adjust, be it going into the road matchup. One of those things is stopping the run. And here's what Ezekiel Elliott had to say about the front that he's facing from the Saints and just how the Cowboys are going to have to keep their mindset going into this matchup.
They have a good front, anchored by Cam Jordan. They got some very physical guys. You got at the second level, you got Demario Davis. I think he's definitely one of the best linebackers in the league, and they're a physical group. They got a lot of talent. They play hard, So I mean, we just got to match their intensity and trust our training and execute.
What's the key to y'all reestablishing the run game after some struggles the last couple of games?
I think just kind of, making sure we're executing better. I think we got to go out there and fine-tune, everything, kind of, get that ball back rolling, and hopefully we get the run game going.
You felt you could manage the knee, and you didn't necessarily want or need to take any time off. Is that still your stance? Is this still something you think you can manage, and it will slowly get better over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I've been dealing with it for about almost 2 months now, and I think it has gotten better. It does get stiff, but I got different methods to work that out on the sideline.
Zeke, do you tell the coaches that you don't want to rest it?
No one came to me and even asked me to rest. As far as I know, that hasn't came up. So, if they bring it up to me, I just gotta go with what they believe is best for the team, and I think that's that.
So plenty of positivity, but also perspective from Ezekiel Elliott earlier in the week when talking about the front that he's going up against and making sure that they take advantage and do what they need to do in order to be successful on the road. Now, it hasn't been easy sledding either for the passing game for the Cowboys. Since Dak Prescott's return from his calf injury, how about a 1-3 record? A drop 10% in completion percentage, and a drop 25 points in his quarterback rating. It has not been pretty for Dak since he returned 4 weeks ago from the calf injury that he sustained against the New England Patriots. So, Barry, I ask you tonight, when you look at the film and you see this Saints defense, is this the night Dak Prescott gets back on track?
I think it is a night he gets back on track. It helps to have all three of your receivers back and healthy, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper. But to be honest, I think it starts with the run game. We've seen this so far this year that when Dak and these Cowboys are at the peak of their powers, they have an extremely balanced attack out there. So if it's me in this offense coming up, I think if we get Tony Pollard started early, if we get Zeke started early, I think it'll open up a lot of things for Dak as well as this Cowboys offense.
The reality is Dak's been nervous like Purvis back there in the pocket ever since he came back from the calf injury. That's the reality. But also the reality is this is the second game he's had his full offensive line back healthy. This is also going to be the first game he's had all three of his wide receivers back on the field together at the same time. So settle your feet, go through your mechanics, get back to fundamental football, get the run game going, and I think he'll have a heck of a night tonight.
Now, this is a loaded question, but which one paid more at least attention, paid more dividends for Dak Prescott not having a good couple of weeks, the offensive line or the absence of the wide receivers?
That's definitely a loaded question. I think they both play their part. I think offensive line, obviously, if you don't have an O-line, you don't have any foundation to even sit back and throw on, but you need all three of your receivers out there. He has them tonight.
Yeah, you need all three of your receivers. We've seen what happens when the B squad went out there. Ced Wilson and Noah Brown, they were dropping a lot of passes out there, a lot of key situations that I feel like the A squad, CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, and Coop would have made. So it helps to have your receivers back, but that offensive line giving you protection, that's a must out there.
This is the first time all year that all of those guys are available, and then also Demarcus Lawrence on the other sideline as well, coming off the defensive end. But let's hear from Dak Prescott. There have been plenty of challenges with the COVID list, no Mike McCarthy this week, and then also getting these guys back and healthy for the Cowboys before they take on the Saints. And here's what he had to say.
Yeah, it's a great challenge. I mean, we've got to step up to it, though. Obviously, not the hottest. Coming off of a loss, second straight loss, and then obviously losing our head coach. We're in for a challenge, but when you go into an atmosphere like this, you understand it's going to be a heavyweight challenge regardless. And know it's going to be a 4-quarter game, so it's just about us getting our mindset and our mentality right to go do that and to be our best. And for offense, it's about communication, us being sound and us being on the same page with our nonverbal communication to make sure that we don't allow the crowd noise to become a problem or affect us as far as our execution.
Y'all lost one game the first 7 weeks, 3 in the last 4. How would you characterize the urgency to win Thursday at New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, it's very urgent. This is a team that's hungry and that's pissed off simply about the way that we've executed and the way that we've played. So it's about us looking in the mirror and checking ourselves first and foremost, and that's what we've done. So right now it's just about going out there and, as I said, doing everything that we can to heighten our focus, our mindset, and our execution come Thursday to make sure that we come out with a victory.
And Dak Prescott's going to be going up against guys like Malcolm Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore, two of which that have established themselves in the NFL as some of the best veteran secondary players out there. I mean, these two defensive backs, you look at Jenkins, just the fact he's been in the league for 13 seasons speaks volumes as to what he can do, and he hasn't really let up a whole lot either. Kept that foot on the gas over the last couple of seasons and going into 2021. Now, statistically, there are still some holes in that defense as well. Even with as good as the front seven is, the Saints are statistically the worst defense against quick passes. You mentioned it in your segment earlier. Can the Cowboys take advantage with guys like Amari Cooper out there rather than Barry Church's B team that is out there instead of what they've seen the last couple of weeks?
Oh, without a doubt. I think, Amari Cooper can take advantage of the secondary, and at the very worst, I think he'll open up things for the rest of this team. Whether it's double coverage or whether it's taking Marcus Lattimore's coverage the entire game, I think he'll open up things for Schultz, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb out there as well. But if the Saints are crazy enough to think they're just going to throw a guy out there one-on-one coverage with Amari Cooper, I expect him to eat, and I expect him to have an explosive game in tonight's game.
The New Orleans Saints are going to come out there and make it a point to stop the run. They're going to key in on Zeke. We already heard Cam Jordan earlier in the week said that the key to stopping these guys from winning the ball game is shut down Zeke. With that being said, you can expect a 7 to 8 man box, which leaves you man-to-man coverage on the outside. Marshawn Lattimore, as we mentioned, is one of the more aggressive DBs in the game. When he swings and he misses, that's going to be an opportunity for Coop to go out there and remind everybody why they say Coop whenever he catches the ball, to go out there and ball out.
And there is a large contingency of Cowboys fans in New Orleans tonight. They're going to be loud as well. Now, this is the the third time all year that all three of those guys, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, are all on the field together. And I mentioned how bad the Saints are against quick passes. They're last in completion percentage. They're last in yards per catch. How much does this offense now get a chance to rely on Gallup and Lamb now that they're back in the fold together?
I think they'll be able to rely on them a lot. Just like Isaiah said, this Saints team is going to make sure they stack the box and take away Zeke and Tony Pollard. So that should leave a lot of one-on-one opportunities for CeeDee Lamb and Gallup out there. And I got to believe that those two are better than the Saints' second and third cornerback options out there. And if that's the case, they should be able to take advantage of their one-on-one options and have an explosive afternoon.
You heard Barry just said it. Our personnel on the outside is better than their DBs. That's the facts, pure and simple. They know that as well. So what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to get to Dak before he can get the ball off. So those quick passes that we were just referring to, that's going to become very important in tonight's game, and winning at the line of scrimmage at our receiver position, not getting jammed up so that Dak can actually get the ball off with good timing.
And what does CeeDee Lamb think from the New Orleans sideline and how they're going to challenge this wide receiver core now that it is back and fully healthy? Here's what he said earlier in the week.
In a game like this, it's going to be a heavyweight fight. Just understanding who we are, what we do, and how we play. And I feel like if we play together as a group, we can ultimately come out victorious. But in order for that to happen, we have to make routine plays. And like I said, we have to execute. It's mandatory.
How would you characterize the sense of urgency around the team after 3 losses in 4 weeks?
The urgency has always been there. Obviously, we've lost, 3 games in the last 4 weeks, and I feel like a lot of media people are definitely not going to let us forget that. But I mean, we're going back to what we do best. Just go out there, play the game of football, do what we love, play physical, and we're going to get the best, approach of all our opponents. So just going out there, matching what they do, understanding the objective, and just ultimately just going to battle. At that point, I feel like we got too ahead of ourselves, obviously, and this is the National Football League. But you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. I mean, if you go undefeated, that's phenomenal. But I don't think it'll always play that way.
So that's what CeeDee Lamb said earlier in the week. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper out there warming up, getting ready at the Superdome to take on the New Orleans Saints. There you see him stretching behind us. And you know who else is out there, gentlemen? For the first time since week 1 of the NFL season, Demarcus Lawrence is back for the Dallas Cowboys. It is a wonderful day as he missed 10 games. This is what he brings to the table in terms of the stats throughout his career. He's one of the more prolific pass rushers in the game when he's healthy, and he is a part of this defense, especially with the improvements that they've seen on that side of the ball this year. Barry Church, what kind of jolt does he bring to that side?
I think he can have a huge impact in tonight's game. One, I think he can take some of the attention away from the other defensive linemen, and they can have some one-on-ones, and hopefully they're able to take advantage of that. And two, this guy, to me, he's one of the best run defenders in the National Football League when you're talking about the defensive line. So we get an upgrade as far as run defender out there, and hopefully he can provide an extra pop to get after the quarterback this afternoon. But we need D-Law out there in his A game as well.
You know, and the thing I like about it, Barry, is that he will bring energy. He's never touched the field and not bring that energy for his team. These young guys respect him. Just reading the articles during the week, they respect him immensely. Now you don't know how we're going to play Parsons. That is the cat and mouse game that he gives us. As long as we keep him under 20 snaps and make sure we take care of him and ramp him up right, he should have a great night.
And I'll talk about Parsons here in a second, but just kind of going along that side of having the veteran presence of Lawrence back in the fold, is there an expectation that he brings? Is there a certain level of I guess, ideal and motor that he's going to bring to the table that this defense has to live up to?
They have to. He's the leader. He's the bona fide leader and catalyst of this defensive line. Like you said, Nate, he always brings the juice. So what I expect from D-Law to come out here, I don't expect him to go out there and get 3 or 4 sacks, but I expect him to bring that juice, that energy, bring that just that fever to this defensive line, and hopefully they will be able to respond.
I agree 100%, man. We've been waiting for this day 10 weeks. We've been waiting on this right here. You can start this thing tonight, and you can kick it off great with the D-Law back, man. And just like I said, he just brings such intensity to the game, and we need that for this young defense.
And we mentioned it a couple moments ago, but linebacker Micah Parsons had 59 snaps and 73 snaps each of the last 2 weeks on the line of scrimmage, on the defensive line. Barry, you asked this question to Rob earlier in the show, but do you think that he will return to the linebacker spot, or are they going to keep him up front?
Look, I'm going to be honest. Until Randy Gregory gets back, I'm keeping this man at the defensive end position. I mean, I know we're getting D-Law back, but this is his first game in 10 weeks. I'm quite sure if right now he can provide that same pop that Parsons has. I mean, he's causing havoc on opposing offensive lines out there. So to me, even with the addition of Tank Lawrence, we got to keep this young guy hungry over there, this young lion. We got to feed him off the edge, let him get after these quarterbacks.
Sometimes it's like you earn the right. And this guy's earned the right to be at defensive end. He's phenomenal. And just stay hungry, son. I'm going to say that. I know we're supposed to be talking about your talent. Stay hungry, my man. You are a beast.
And with the way that he's been talking off the field, it backs up his play on the field as well. And that's probably the most impressive side of Micah Parsons this year, because in the draft there were questions around his maturity. Well, his maturity has been phenomenal, at least through the first couple weeks of his rookie season. Now, here's what he had to say about keeping that mindset right, keeping that focus going up against a New Orleans team that does present some challenges.
I mean, obviously, we got to bounce back, and we got to do what we do at the end of the day. We got to play football, we got to execute, and we got to play disciplined football. And all the other stuff is going to come, but we got to play disciplined football, and we got to play better, and we got to clean up the details and, start heading on track for where we want to go. I mean, it's easy to say that, but, we got to go out there and do it. And that's all that matters.
Like, is there anything you've done this year that surprised you?
No, I just feel like, I hear people who say great year, having a great year, but there's a difference between having a great year and an excellent year. I feel like the expectations is different. The expectations is lower for rookies. And I feel like, I just feel like I work so hard and put my mind, I got the ability to do it. So I expect to do some of these things. So I just feel like I am complete the mission or my goals yet.
So wherever Micah Parsons will be on the defensive side of the football, he will look across the line of scrimmage, and he will not see a number 41. No Alvin Kamara available today for the New Orleans Saints. Back here with Barry Church and Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and this completely changes the whole ideal behind this New Orleans Saints offense, because Alvin Kamara out. He's out for the 4th straight week dealing with a knee issue. He still leads the Saints, despite not playing for a whole month, in scrimmage yards and scrimmage touchdowns because of what he can do out of the backfield. He is replaced by Mark Ingram, who missed last week with an ailing injury. So, Isaiah, I ask you, how much does this limit this New Orleans offense, the fact that Alvin Kamara is not available?
Tremendously. Kamara in the lineup, you're going to have to worry about identifying exactly where he's at. Is he in the backfield? Is he out wide at receiver? Is he as a quarterback? There's a whole lot of things you had to worry about. Now all you got to do is fixate your eyes into that backfield. Taysom Hill's going to be sitting back there. Mark Ingram's going to be sitting back there, and they're going to be coming downhill. They might run some counters with pulling guards and centers, but ultimately that box is where they're going to be playing, and you know exactly where all your threats are going to be at.
Yeah, you're 100% right on there, Isaiah. I mean, look, when you don't have your number one threat offensively as a defender, you take a slight sigh of relief because this guy, Alvin Kamara, is one of the most dynamic running backs in the National Football League as far as catching the ball out of the backfield, running in between the tackles, whatever you want to call it, this guy can do it. So for him not to be in the game plan and you have to deal with a Mark Ingram in there, I think you take a little sigh of relief, but you got to be on your P's and Q's because you know Sean Payton's going to come with something tricky to go ahead and throw that off.
Now, you played against Mark Ingram at one point in your career, correct? So what kind of challenge does he present from a running back standpoint as opposed to what you would have seen from Alvin Kamara?
So he's not as dynamic as Alvin Kamara is out there, but this guy is a load. He can run in between the tackles. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's just not as dynamic as Kamara, but you got to bring your big boy pads because, like I said earlier, this guy is a load.
He missed last week against the Buffalo Bills, a 31-6 loss for the New Orleans Saints, but he still had 100-plus yards in both Week 11 and Week 12 without Kamara in the fold. So keep that in mind when looking at Mark Ingram making his return, of course, this season to the Saints. The Saints are also expected to make a switch. It's not official, but it's an expected switch at the quarterback position. Trevor Siemian 0-4 during his time as a starter, so they go to Taysom Hill at the quarterback spot. By the way, in previous season as the starter for the Saints, Hill is 3-1, 25 points per game, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, as opposed to Siemian, who was 0-4 with just 20 points per game. So is this the perfect week to have a secondary rebound because of the way that Hill kind of plays the quarterback position, Isaiah?
This better be. This has to be the bounce back game. You know, we mentioned earlier, you know, how well we play and what our rate, where we're 6-2 whenever we have 2 or more turnovers. We need to get 2 or more turnovers, and this is the quarterback to do it against. He is not the most confident as a quarterback in terms of throwing. He only has 8 pass attempts this year. But don't be misled. In his career, he's 71% completion rate. So that's up there in terms of the league this year, but that's over his duration of his career. So we have to give him some respect, but make him show you that he can sit back there in the pocket and throw the ball like any other quarterback in this league.
You're 100% right. I mean, you got to make this guy show you that he can actually beat you by throwing the football. I mean, right now we know all of Sean Payton's offenses, they like to spread the football around. They like to attack the defenses downfield and let their quarterback dice them apart with their arm. But I don't think this guy can do it. Like you said, there's only 8 plays so far this season where he's thrown the football. He's more of a running back than a quarterback to me. So to me, this is a perfect bounce back game for the secondary.
Yeah, this really is. And you look at the way that Hill is a runner more so than a thrower. And now you might not see the secondary truly tested over the next couple of games, or at least this game specifically. So how do you feel like the secondary matches up against some of these wide receivers and the weapons that they'll see?
I think they match up perfectly. I mean, you got AB over there on one side and you got Diggs. These guys are both extremely aggressive when they go out there. They like to go ahead and press. And I think these guys at the line of scrimmage with the Saints, they don't have great releases out there. So I think we'll be able to be physical with these guys, keep our eyes in the backfield, because I do not believe in Taysom Hill's arm. You get to see where he is at all times because you know he's going to take off eventually. So secondary, bring your big boy pads as well. But I think we can match up great on the outside with these receivers.
As a defender, do you take a little bit more aggression or more of an aggressive approach when knowing you're going up against a quarterback like this?
Without a doubt, I'm jumping everything. I'm pulling the digs and I'm jumping everything. I'm saying this guy is not going to be able to go through his progressions and do all that stuff. I don't think he's a legit quarterback out there. So if I'm Diggs or I'm Anthony Brown, I'm jumping everything, I'm flat-footing everything, and letting him prove me wrong.
I need these guys to bring their Mickey Mouse gloves out. Mickey Mouse gloves, put them all on them.
Big and puffy,
yeah, the big
gloves.
gloves.
Do you just have those lying around at home?
They got access to them. Jerry's World.
The Nike.
Get your Mickey Mouse gloves out and come and put these hands on these guys at the line of scrimmage. Make them run by you. I think they have Montgomery on the outside. That's one of the only guys that can run on this roster at the receiver position. Prove to yourself. Remember who you were earlier in the season. Get your swag back. This is the game to do it.
Now the mental image is just Trayvon Diggs running around with Mickey Mouse gloves, got a Nike check on the side. All right, that's one way to do it. All right, let's hear from Trayvon Diggs himself and some of the prep changes, knowing that Taysom Hill is starting at quarterback as opposed to Trevor Siemian.
How did the preparation change with not knowing if it was to be Siemian or Taysom Hill this week? Are they different offenses with different guys?
Definitely, and we prepare for both. At the end of the day, we don't know how the game is going to be or who's who's going to be, anything can happen. So, we just had to prepare for both the quarterbacks, two different style quarterbacks. And, that's just our main focus now, just preparing for those two.
How much of a challenge is that? No, I know that you're preparing for any and every scenario, but does that take away from being very game specific? I mean, walk me through what that looks like for you in your preparation.
Depending on the situation, just knowing your personnel, knowing who's in the game, that's part of football. And, I feel like you got to know your quarterback, know which quarterback you're facing, down and distance, all of it plays a factor. So, you just got to prepare for both, and whatever you need to do to prepare for both of them, that's what you need to do.
Trayvon Diggs will look to take advantage of a New Orleans offense that has just 3 points scored on opening drives all season long, and that came 10 games ago in the season opener against the Green Bay Packers. Now, let's go back out to the Superdome where Nick Eatman is on the sideline with Stephen Jones.
Thank you, Kyle, and we're joined, as always, with Stephen Jones here, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And Stephen, tell us a little, first of all, here, it's a different week with Mike McCarthy not being here on the sidelines. How do you think that's going to affect the team, the preparation, the things that happen in the course of a game?
Well, I think Mike's done an outstanding job of getting our staff, getting our team prepared to be, play this game without him in terms of not being here in person. And, of course, he's put together a great staff with great experience, and certainly Dan Quinn's been in these situations. He's been in this building quite a bit in terms of the Falcons and the Saints rivalry. So, this is second hat for him. And, I know everybody, they've gone through all the different types of situations. I mean, you're never going to cover all of them, but certainly have a lot of confidence. I know Mike does. I know we do, that if a weird situation comes up that he needs to address, he'll handle it in a good way. But I think overall, between Kellen and Bones and, our whole staff, that they'll step up and do a good job. And I know our players got confidence in what they're going to do. So, hopefully it'll be seamless. You always hate to miss the head coach out there, and certainly we'll miss Mike. But, hats off to him for doing a great job preparing our team.
It's been such a weird week, obviously, with having to do a lot of virtual meetings, and then you throw in the fact that this team's lost 3 out of 4. They need this game. You guys need to win it. Washington's kind of starting to creep up there a little bit. Where do you feel like the sense of urgency is for this team right now?
Well, I hope we've had urgency every step of the way. And, even when you drop a game, I can't say that it's lack of urgency. I mean, it's just, we've got to go out there. We've got to execute. It's really nice to get some of these players who we got back. I mean, having Demarcus Lawrence out there, I mean, he's our best defensive player coming into the season. Obviously, that guy step up in his place and do a good job, but to have him back is going to be big time. And then, of course, to get Amari and CD back out there should make a big difference offensively. So, you're looking forward to that type of thing, and we should, as the season goes, even get more back. So, I feel like our guys understand where we are. They work hard in practice each week, and I expect us to play well.
You mentioned Tank and Amari Cooper. I'll ask you about Lawrence first. How much do you expect him to, you think, are we getting a full Tank tonight, or do you think they'll kind of ease him back in?
We'll ease him back in, but, he can be so effective when you ease back in. You got the number of plays that he'll play. We'll have a pitch count for him, and then get to the fourth quarter. If he feels good, we'll cut him loose. And but he'll be helping us every step of the way, and not unlike Amari the same way. I mean, he'll have a pitch count there early, and then if he feels good as the game goes, we'll kind of put that aside and let him play.
I saw a stat where Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Lyle Collins, CD, Amari, and Dak have not played together all year. This will be the first time that we see that. Even though we got all these COVID issues, you're getting a little healthy on offense. Maybe you can get that spark back on offense.
Yeah, we feel like we're getting healthier as a team, and hopefully that will bring a spark. I mean, there's a reason why you have a salary cap,
right,
and why all the guys you just mentioned make a big majority of it. And you don't have those guys out there. You gotta hope you have next man up and fight to overcome it. But this is a good group of men. We got great leadership on this team, both sides of the ball, and I feel like we're ready to play well tonight.
Well, this is definitely a tough place to play, but you'll see a lot of Navy and some silver here tonight, so maybe that'll help you guys get this much-needed victory.
Well, we got to go out and make some plays, get started early, get started fast, and I think you'll hear from our fans too here. I have looked around, seen that we do have a lot of fans in here, so we got to give them something to yell about.
All right, appreciate it. Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Kyle, we'll throw it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Nick and Steven out in New Orleans as we are back here at the Star in Frisco. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and we talked about it at the start of the show, but let's reiterate it just because it is that much of a point. The Cowboys had their fair share of lumps on the road this season. You talk specifically about Arrowhead Stadium. We compare this environment to Arrowhead Stadium. How tough is it going to be to communicate, and how loud do you expect it to be on a Thursday night?
Well, I'm going to leave this one up to my offensive brothers because as a defender, I love the noise. No matter what. If we at home, I love getting the crowd hyped. And in away games, you know, they're quiet for their offense. So to me, I love the noise. What do y'all think about that, man?
I love the noise too. You know, and typically most fans think that the noise affects you whenever you break the huddle, when in all actuality, most of the communication takes place within the huddle. So as long as they don't turn up until after we break the huddle, I think we'll be perfectly fine.
You know what? I have a different deal because them defensive linemen come a little bit faster when there's a bunch of noise. So you know what? We got to be perfect in how we handle this situation, and we have to run. That'll take the crowd out.
So hopefully nobody's listening from the New Orleans fan base at the moment, because Isaiah's out here giving secrets on when they should get loud and when they shouldn't. But the fans down there are phenomenal, and there are going to be their fair share of Cowboys fans there as well. Apparently last night at the Pelicans game, the NBA action, there was a lot of navy and silver in the building.
Love to see it.
Smoothie King Center was filled with Cowboys fans. Hopefully that's the case in the Superdome as well. Now, Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4, trying to get back on track again tonight. Now, who has to step up? Who has to have a better game today, more so than they've had the last couple of weeks?
Well, for me, I'm going to go special teams-wise here. And for me, I got to go with Greg the Leg Zuerlein. All right, we've been on a little bit of a roller coaster ride these past couple of games. A missed extra point could have won us the game last week. So I need my boy Zuerlein to step it up, make it 3 for 3 on the field goals, 3 for 3 on the extra points. Let's go ahead and get this W.
All right, he's going with Greg the Leg. I'm going with not everybody, but I'm going with everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. All 3 phases to step up because guess what, fellas? We have lost 3 of 4. That means that everybody has to contribute in order for us to get the W.
You know what? It's going to be, for me, just a running game. It's going to be Zeke. It's going to be Tony Pollard. We're going to have to touch the ball 30 times, running the rock to take this crowd out of the game.
And this is going to be a big game for the Cowboys going back up against an NFC opponent. Let's take a look at some of the NFC standings right now, because at the moment they're still up on top of the NFC East and certainly in play for some seeding. Now, there are a lot of big games on the docket this week. You talk about Philadelphia. They've got the Jets. That's a very winnable game. New York Giants, they take on the Miami Dolphins. Washington taking on Las Vegas. So that in the division, with even that Washington team sitting at 5-6, there are lots of winnable games this week. So that brings me to this question. Cowboys losing 3 of their last 4. Is this a must-win for the Dallas Cowboys tonight?
Without a doubt, this is a must-win game for the Dallas Cowboys. The snowball effect right now is happening. They're 1-3 in these last 4 games. We have got to get a W going on for this team because right behind us in the rearview mirror is the Washington Redskins. We still got to play those guys, or the Washington football team. I'm sorry about that. But they're right in the rearview mirror for us, so we've got to get this winning game back going. Hopefully we can start tonight against the Saints.
You just heard Barry say, hey, who's that creeping in my window? That's Washington, okay? You do not want to allow these guys to start building confidence and work their way up into the top of the NFC East. Control what you can control, and that's what they're starting with tonight with the New Orleans Saints.
You know what? This is a wounded team in the Saints. Don't worry about them. Go out and play within yourselves. Are you okay? Don't worry about them guys. They looking in the rearview mirror. I'm looking straight ahead. Let's go get them.
I agree with you, Nate. I think, in my opinion, I don't get a chance to share my opinion on this show a whole lot, but this is not a must-win. Now, when you start playing your divisional opponents, I think it is a must-win. Even if you come out at 7-5 with as bad as you've been, you're getting guys back. I think it would help a ton to get a win, but I think the Cowboys have plenty of opportunities to win the division, wrap up some seeding, and still have a great run into the playoffs, even with a loss tonight. Doesn't mean I want that to happen. That should not happen, and that should not be the mindset from the guys that are playing with the helmet and the jersey on, but that is something to keep in mind for Cowboys fans out there. Now, keys to the game. How do the Cowboys avoid that happening, avoid losing a potential must-win game? Barry, we'll start with you.
We have to do what we didn't do last week. We have got to start fast. We gave Las Vegas Raiders an opportunity and confidence to feel like they can go into this game with us. We have to do the same thing with these Saints. Step on their foot or step on their neck early, make them believe that they can't go in this game and have the confidence to play with us. We have got to start fast.
I agree with you, BC, but I'm going to roll with the fact that we need a mandatory 150 yards on the ground.
Ooh.
If we get 150 yards on the ground, our stats show, our records show that we win the ball games majority of the times when we do that. So, fellas, get the ground game going.
Echo, 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 150 yards, echo. I'm with that. Yes, sir. And you know what? I do believe it's a must-win. Kyle just misinterpreted me.
Oh, okay, sorry. My bad. Sorry, Nate. I thought we agreed for once on it. I guess not. All right, kickoff, Cowboys Saints. That does it for us here on Cowboys Pregame Live, 7:20 on Fox and the NFL Network. For Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you after the game on DallasCowboys.com.